Blessings, people. And it's Real Talk Podcast with myself, Jflames, and
Ruinz Ason.
And you know, we're always getting deep. You know, we're always getting deep as usual. And last episode
was real.
It was real, man. It was real. You know, I know we got quite a lot of feedback from it. You know, it invoked a lot of emotions.
A few people crying and that.
Yeah, a few people crying and that, you know what I'm saying? It evoked a lot of emotions in ourselves and other people, but like the underlining message of the video, I felt like it got across.
Yeah, it's like you can make it through anything.
You can make it through anything.
Yeah.
And to keep it moving, today's episode is about surviving out here in the ends. Survival out here in the ends, man. And that can mean any type of survival. And when I say ends, I mean the hood. It can be the hood in any country. But right now we're talking about the UK, we're talking about London. Yeah, surviving out here in the hoods. Yeah. I'm 33, as I said before. Ason is 34. And we've had a mad journey. You know, we've had friends that's been lost to gang violence. We've had people that's been locked up for years around us and stuff like that. And luckily, you know, by the grace of whatever being you believe in, whatever your God may be, yeah. Jah, yeah, by the grace of Jah, yeah, we've managed to avoid so many situations, you know, that could have went sideways. That it's actually, I always tell people all the time, it's a miracle that man's actually here. You know that, innit?
100%.
Like, it's crazy. So
man's got some angels out there, bro.
Man's got some angels, man. Because so many close calls. So what does, let me pose this question to you. What does survival of the ends mean to you?
I mean, not just physically surviving, I think. It's like mentally surviving is tough, man. Like, I think the ends probably takes more people mentally than it does physically. And spiritually surviving, financially surviving, emotionally surviving, any way where you put a lot of people and congest them into small areas and there's a lot of poverty, is always going to be, it's going to be a melting pot, a rat race of the survival of the fittest. And like I said, yeah, you know, obviously, you know, where we come from, there's a lot of crime and there's a lot of stuff. But for me, I think the main thing is, can you survive the ends mentally? And that's the real task.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
So like, in terms of surviving the ends mentally, we're talking about PTSD, really, innit?
Post-traumatic stress disorder, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like a lot of things that we've seen on the ends, where it'd be like violence, robbery, crime, or just anything dark, right? It comes to a point when you grow up and you start to think that it's normal. Like some of the things that man's seen, until you actually kind of come out of the ends and go to other places and see that people don't live like this everywhere.
It's mad, because I remember like years ago when I was working at this place, and I arrived late to work, right? And one of my colleagues had told me, that was like, why was you late today? And I was like, there was a murder on my street, innit? So the police had locked off the end, so I couldn't really get to work, so that's why I'm running late. And the way I said it so casual and blasé, like she held me and looked at me and was like, are you okay?
Are you okay?
And I'm looking at her like, what do you mean? Are you like, chill, like, that's good, like, you see me here, I'm not dead, you know what I'm saying? And like, it's only when I go and I think about that now, bro, that's not normal, you know?
It hardens you.
Yeah, man.
And it yeah, like it prepares you for the worst. And it like I said in the last episode, you know, I always talk about it puts you into a survival mode where you're kind of prepared for basically like rockets to fall out the sky. You know what I mean? You're prepared for the worst. Again, that causes a lot of anxiety. It's like, so people go about their everyday life with this massive load of anxiety on their heads because of where we come from. But it doesn't feel like that because we're all going through it and it's just normalized.
It's normalized.
Until you leave the ends and you leave where you're from.
Yeah.
And you go to other places and you're still operating in this survival mode and you realize that, whoa, this is all in my mind. And that's when it gets real.
That's when it gets real.
That's when it gets real.
It gets real, man.
Yeah.
So like for yourself, when would you say was a time when you realized, when it's either you was having a conversation with someone or someone was telling you about their self and you realized, wait, hold on, what I've been subjected to on the ends isn't normal? Can you pinpoint a specific moment that may have happened where you was about to say something or you were telling a story, then you realize, whoa, wait, hold on, I'm saying this like this is something normal?
Yeah, like I remember when I was in Barcelona last year, right? And I was at like a gig and I was with my friend and there was this brother, he was from London as well. And he was like, yeah, man, like, you know, back in the day when we went traveling, when we was like 18 years old and, you know, like, oh man, you know, like, you know, I wish that I was traveling the same way that I was traveling back then now. And said, what about you? Like, what? And I looked at him and I was like, fam, when man was 18, man was in the block. Like, I was like traveling. Like, it took me to actually like go and leave and live somewhere else. It took me to in my 30s because when man was 17, 18, 19, 20, man was thinking about traveling to Croydon to go and chirps gal or traveling to this place to go and make this money here or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's when I realized that like the way that man grew up, man had a childhood and stuff, and man had a teenage life, but man's teenage life was evolving around shit that weren't productive.
Yeah.
And always looking out for my back and knowing that anything can happen to you at any time. And when I was hearing man upset about the fact that he the way he was traveling when he was 18 weren't the same way he's traveling now, I'm thinking, bro, you was traveling at 18.
Yeah.
I didn't want to leave the ends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes leaving the ends, like you said in the last episode, might mean you don't come back.
But real talk.
You know what I mean? Like we grew up in an era where there were ends you can't go to if you're from another ends. So that's when I realized that, man, like, I wish that I was like traveling and seeing different cultures and going to different places when I was way younger.
Way young. I think there's one thing here that nobody ever tells you is when you're living in the hood. So we come from Lewisham and we grew up in Sydenham Hill Estate. We grew up in Woodpecker. You know what I'm saying? From a young age, which is New Cross. And what a lot of people don't tell you, yeah, is you see when you grew up in a territorial place, right? When you become a traveller of sorts of going to another country, yeah, it is so hard to become a tourist.
Yeah.
I thought being a tourist was a weakness, bro.
But that's why a lot of people go overseas to holidays with batches of like 15, 20 people.
Speak on it. Speak now, real talk. Real talk.
You know, like now when I see that, I think, whoa, like that's crazy. But it's like that pack mentality was what we became accustomed to because that pack mentality meant survival. It's like back in the day when we used to go to different areas that maybe, you know, was a bit of friction. We would go even carnival, man. Like, you remember going carnival with like 35 guys?
Oh, mate.
You know, because that pack mentality meant sticking together and surviving. And even then as well, man, like man had certain people that was in man's clique that they were the weak links. They will put certain people that man had in man's circle were the reason why man would get into problems.
Nah, real talk. And on top of 35 man trying to draw one girl.
Bro,
on top of that was the weak links in the 35 man.
Yeah, and it's that pack mentality, and I feel like, especially being like where we're from, like London or like anywhere similar. It's like when we would go abroad to other places, you would feel like you want to go with 100 people because it means that you can create this whole safe world.
Yeah.
Which wasn't really safe anyway, because
Yeah,
some of
it
the people
wasn't.
that you were kind of flexing with, you kind of shouldn't have been flexing with, because they were just not real anyway.
They didn't have man's best intentions.
But it was that illusion of, if there's more of us, because you remember when we was younger, what did our parents used to say to us? Stick together.
Stick together.
Stay with your friends.
Every time my friends would come around to the yard, before we would leave, my mum would always say, "You lot stick together.
Make sure you stick
You
together."
get me? And man took that away into man's 20s. And man probably should have separated.
Well, this is the thing. Like, loyalty was a thing that, like, for me, man, was like so important. You know, like, being loyal to my friends and my friends being loyal to me. But for me, I just felt like that loyalty was very one way. You know, and you know me already, Josh, man. I put my life on the line for my friends. I have done that.
Yeah.
Like I put my life on the line for people that weren't even my friends.
Yeah.
Because I was so ingrained with this mentality that you stick together, because you stick together, you survive. And I've been in situations where back in the day where it was peak and it was like man bucked into some trouble with some youths in certain ends, and like there's 5 of us and 5 of them, and I've looked behind me and certain man and everyone's running, black.
Yeah, everyone's gone.
And it's just me there.
You know,
and man are dropping on the floor while they're running like it's some movie. You know, the black man that dies first in every movie.
You know, you're standing with your back straight, bro, thinking, you know what?
I got my man. Survival, like, stick together. Nah, bruv, like,
turn around, they're gone.
Nah, bro, and that's when I realized that, like, you know what, you have to have yourself, and
100.
us being brothers, we have to make sure that we got each other's back, because we been in situations where we've been with man them that think they're bad.
Oh, well, we've been in a situation where we've been with 20 man up, blood.
And me and you,
just me and you, bro.
Me and you are in the club having to rock it out.
Real talk, bro. Real talk. Yeah, situations have happened a few times still, but it's crazy. I remember the first time, when we went to USA, we went to Miami, Florida, and do you remember when we was in Miami, right? And we still had ends road mentality. Yeah. And all we could think about was getting back to the ends, to the man them.
I was missing, but we was in South Beach. Okay. 38 degrees.
I was 18 at the time. You was 19, yeah.
We was in our last holiday with my mum, and we was in South Beach, bro. And I'm thinking about the man them back on the ends. I'm thinking about this girl I'm trying to make mine.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
South Beach.
Yeah. I'm thinking about getting back to the end so I can resume my life. Like my FOMO, bro. It's like, what am I missing out on?
Yeah.
Like you get me? So much so that remember when we went to the Ralph Lauren
the polo shop.
Polo factory.
Yeah.
And I bought every one of my man them polo shirts. Do you remember that?
Yeah, of course. Well, that's when pink was in fashion.
That's just the type of man was. I was like, I'm buying all of my man them polo shirts.
Yeah.
What one of the man them would have done that for man?
One of the man that went to America a couple months after that to bring back bad shit, fam. You get me?
And you know, man's not that type of guy that is like, because I do something for me, but this is who I am. I'm loyal to the soil, yo.
Yeah.
And sometimes that loyal to the soilty has put me in states where this could be real, bruv. Like, man's just deal sometimes with some anger, fam. That rub where, like, you know what I mean? I've done certain things for people, and I've put my life on the line, and I've been so loyal, and I've been like, you know, the best I can be, and what do I get in return? Disrespect.
That ain't but disrespect. That's all, man.
But you know, I attribute me being that way to my programming, that you can't survive by yourself. You know, and that's what has taken me to a certain place of understanding that surviving really out here on the ends is about who you surround yourself with.
Yeah, facts.
And that's important, bruv.
Facts, man. I remember the other day, man, I got one of them little electric scooters, and I was riding this electric scooter, and I rid past like a group of like 8 tourists. Yeah. with their cameras and then taking pictures and stuff like that. And I had a flashback, bruv, of like back in the day, yeah, when man was out here, and me and my brethren had rounded up a group of tourists and just lit their phones and everything like that, bruv. And I literally had a flashback of all of their faces had come to my head.
Do
you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I felt, in that moment, I felt so guilty.
The guilt, bro.
Like, it's crazy.
It hurts.
It hurts, bruv.
I've had to go through that same type of forgiveness of myself for some of the things that I done. Like, you know, sometimes I've had moments where like I've spoken to like people that have known me for a long time about my guilt and things I've done, and certain people look at me and be like, "Oh yeah, but you know, yeah, man, you're not bad. Like you've not done anything bad." And I'm thinking to myself, like, people don't understand that there's two types of people in this world. There are people that do things for status. There are people that do things because they think doing bad things makes them bad, and there's people that do things because there was no other way.
There's no other way.
You see, when man was doing certain things like, you know, like robbing or whatever that I shouldn't have been doing, I wasn't doing them to be bad, bro. I was doing them because me and you was in the house in Sydenham at 14, 15 years old with no money. Man ain't seen man's dad for weeks. With no money in man's pocket. So man's out robbing cars, jumping in people's windows, doing this stuff, not just because it was fun, bro.
Man used to take the money and put on gas still.
To put on gas and to eat the same £1 pizza.
Do you remember the £1 pizza from Spar?
From Spar and the Sun Pride tropical juice 2 for £1 every single day.
Hey, big up Lido, because I know he's watching this.
Yo, but people don't understand.
I know you know about that, bro.
And people look at me and look at us and think, yeah, but these guys have always been good. No, we wanted to be good. But life circumstances and survival can make you pick up the scraps.
Oh, man.
You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
So we do certain things and we are the way we are, not because that's who we want to be, but it's because who we have to be.
Survival, bruv. I remember the first time I sold a Benz of weed, right? I remember I must have been 13 or something like that. By the way, I'm writing a book here, so this is all going to be my book. But I must have been 13 or something like that. And I remember when I sold some weed because, boy, I just knew when I get home, situation is man's going to need some food.
You used to take it from my...
Yeah, I used to
take it from my dad's back.
To this day, you still
kept that to yourself, man.
He's still... Our dad still asks, Justin, you used to take my weed. To this day, with my big age, I say no. It wasn't
me. You used to take the weed, but you used to wrap it up.
I used to wrap up the weed still.
And you didn't even tell me, bro.
Nah,
that's what survival can do.
Survival.
We tell each other everything. You was like, nah, bro. If I tell him, yeah, he's gonna want to get.
You get me? There's not enough for both of us to steal this weed.
I'm outside on the ends, bro. Hot wiring cars, bro, and doing manuals, driving in Crystal Palace and jumping out and doing crazy shit, bro.
Well, yeah. So I remember, yeah, when I sold my first bag of weed, yeah. I felt like a letdown and a disappointment. Like, you know when everyone makes these rappers nowadays, they make all these songs and they glorify trapping, right? But trapping is dead. Like you can tell everyone right now. I can tell trapping is dead. Like a fiend owning you money and you feel like you want to kill this motherfucker, yeah? That trapping is dead, blood. It's a dead grind still. I'm not gonna lie. But I can't glorify that at all, bruv. It's wash.
A man trapped for too long. And you're right, bruv. Like, you see, like, I was trapping for a long time. I don't really speak about it, but I was. And people know I was, right? And I'll keep it real. I was embarrassed after a while, bro.
Yeah, man.
Like, I didn't get into doing what I was doing because it was the fun thing to do. I got into doing what I was doing because I had a mortgage to pay.
Yeah.
I had food to put on the table.
Yeah.
I didn't have no mum and dad that I can go and ask for things.
Nah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I had to go out there, I had to make it happen. And obviously, man was doing the music as well, but everybody knows in the beginning, music don't pay. Music's paying now.
Yeah, of course. After years of grinding and
and even how I got into it, I didn't decide, I want to become a juggler. It was just that, like, I smoke. And everyone was coming to me, and then I was just like, you know what, man? Like, I'm a smart person. I can make this work for me. But then it got to a thing where it was going on and going on and going on and going on. And you know what? Like, even though, it became a thing where man didn't really like to talk about it or whatever, it allowed me to be free enough to not have to work a full-time job.
Of course.
And I always said I would never push out there something I wouldn't take.
Yeah,
myself.
of course. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
which is I'm a herbalist.
Yeah,
and that's what I do.
Of course.
You know,
yeah.
but and one thing I always said to myself is that I will never allow this to get too big that I can't control it, because to me, this is not something that I want to make a career of. This is something that's going to help me to put in to my career and have the time to do my career, which is music.
Definitely.
And again, that's surviving, and surviving out here in the ends kind of boils down to one very, very, very important thing that we've been talking about, and I think you're gonna want to talk about it.
Yeah, man.
And what is that main thing?
Keeping your head down.
Keeping your head down, bro.
Man, that is something that a lot of us seem to struggle with doing.
It's this Instagram, social media shit. Everybody wants to be seen in a certain light. Everybody thinks it's popular to dabble in trapping and dabble in this and dabble in that. When they don't even need to do it. You know what I mean? People can go to their mum and go to the dad and be like, "Hey, oh man, I haven't paid my rent today. Can I get £300?" You don't need to trap.
Don't need to trap.
I mean, some people do, right?
So, 2020, man, you got cryptocurrency out here.
It's true.
You could go flip some coins on crypto, put down some ETH, some chain link. You know what I'm saying? Flip, make 500 in a week if you're doing the right flips on crypto. At the now, let me keep it 100. You see the road thing, right? In terms of trapping, yeah. A lot of brothers are in that because it's something that they've been doing for years, and it's hard to break old habits.
It's very hard to get out of it. It really is.
And a lot of the new people that are starting to get into that, right, it's because it's a glamorized lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, let's keep it real. Even if you're selling coke, you can't make enough money off coke if you start today to buy yourself a Lamborghini. It doesn't work like that. You would have had to be moving coke from way back where you've built connects where you can pick up big bits. You can't be listening to Migos and be like, right, I'm going to start selling coke today and I'm going to have a Lamborghini. Bro, it don't work like that.
You're just going to end up in one place. You're going to end up in prison, or you're going to end up dead, bro.
Or probably both.
I'm at both at the same
Dead in
time
prison.
as well.
Yeah.
Dead and in prison, bro. You know, and it's like, it's real. I always talk about this thing. I was chatting to my brethren about it the other day when we were talking about when man was on the estate back in the day, and me and my brethren, we went to Beckenham to go to the Audi garage. Yeah, I'll never forget this, because I think this is what kind of spurned on my hustler mentality. And and me and my brethren, we was just having a down day. We was out in the ends, no money, just doing what you do out there in the ends. And my brethren said, "You know what? Let's go to the Audi garage in Beckenham." And we went, and we were sitting in that car. This is when the S5 just come out. Audi Q7, and I remember we were sitting in the Audi Q7, and I said, "Yo, man, one day I'm gonna drive this car. Well, I'm gonna get an Audi one day." You know what I mean? And I did get Audi, but I haven't got the Q7 yet, and I will get that car anyway. So, and I remember there was one older, and he came in, and you could see that this is a big guy on the road, and he saw us sitting in the car, and he came to us, and he was like, "What you saying? What you man want this thing, yeah?" And we was like, "Yeah, man, we're gonna grind for this." And he goes, "I'm gonna give you some advice that other elders won't tell you. Yeah, this is some real advice." He said, "If you're doing whatever you're doing on the road, yeah, take your money, clean your money. Make sure you clean your money.
Yes.
I'm not telling you go and do it, but if you are doing it, because I know what the end is like, clean your money and put it into property, put it into assets." So take your money, and don't be like one of those people that go and just spend this, buy this just to look good. But take your money, clean it up, and put it into property, and then allow that property to pay you, so that when you do go and get this car, you're not gonna get stopped by the feds. And you see, when I heard that, and I rang my brethren the other day, and we had a great conversation for like 2 hours about how we was when we were 17 and how we are now, and how that affected us. And that was one of the best advice that you could give a young man, because some of these young men, they're not going to really listen to you when you say stop doing this. But if you give them advice how to do it properly, maybe one day they can understand that they don't need to do this no more and they can own something.
Yes.
And I'm proud that I own things now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I always think about that story, and wherever that brother is, man, like, big up, man, for seeing two young youths that, you know, that needed to hear that, yo, boom, take your things, but make your things legit.
Because basically what he told you in the long run is keep your head down.
Keep your head down, and here's another way how to survive.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't have to be out here with the wolves and the sheep and stay out here because you only end one way.
It only ends one way.
You know?
Yeah, it only ends one way, so...
It only ends one way, man.
You know, so, yeah, I mean, you know, when... I tell you when I thought to myself, right, that this road life is just dead, bruv, yeah? I remember I got myself caught up in some court case and some GBH shit, and I remember I was going to the Camberwell Crown Court and stuff like that, and I remember sitting down in the Camberwell Crown Court waiting for my case, right, and no word of a lie, I must have saw about 5 brothers from Peckham. We're from Lewisham, if I didn't say before, we're from Lewisham. Back in the day, there was all this beef between Lewisham and Peckham, right? So I saw about 5 brothers from Peckham, right? And they was in the jumpsuits and stuff like that, in the grey jumpsuits, so you can see that they was waiting for their court, but they was in jail at the time, so they had been transferred to the court. And I remember 2 of them looked at me, yeah, and just went like this. They just done that, bruv. And you see when I saw that, yeah. Obviously, I got mad them in the jail as well, because a few of my brothers was in jail, yeah. So I know if I go to jail, man will be good, yeah. But soon as I saw that, I was just like, nah, this ain't the lifestyle I'm trying to set up for myself still.
This ain't it.
Yeah, this is the, yeah.
This ain't ever what man wanted.
Nah, it's not.
It's what man had to do from the circumstance that man had. Man's mum was in Dominica, and man's dad was... Yeah. You know what I mean? So we didn't want to be like this, and that's why, like, a lot of people, especially girls, right? Because I made it a thing to... And the surviving out here, yeah, you have to have girls, women that are just your friends.
Yes.
Let's say that, yeah? You know what I mean? And that's one thing I made sure I had, that girls that were my friends, not... not sexually. Some had to just be my friends. And those were the friends that I was able to talk to openly about things. Because back then you couldn't really talk to the man them about how you feel.
Oh, hell no.
And certain things. And with those friends that I had, I would always show them the good side of me. And even like up until like when I was an adult, and I would tell like some of my friends that I still talk to, like girls, about things that man got up to. And they was like, you, no way, I never saw you like that. And I was like, because I didn't want you to see me like that.
Yeah.
I'm a balanced person, and you're a balanced person. Man, everybody has a dark side and a light side.
Yes.
And it's like, how man was back in the day was, because man didn't ever want to lose that light side, man had to have friends around man that man could be that light side.
Of course.
You know, so it's like, it's funny because, you know, even the way, sometimes it's a bit frustrating when people are like, they're kind of like listening to stories that we say.
Yeah.
You're like, really? Yeah, really. That's because man wears a wide brim hat, yeah. I don't think that, like, you know what I mean? Like, cowboy and gangsters and shit used to jump with a wide brim hat on a horse, shooting motherfuckers.
Yeah, it's true.
So don't judge people by don't judh people by their appearance. Judge them by the character.
Yeah, man used to go IT class after school. Yeah, IT class after school. After IT class for an hour, man's with the man them on the bus, wrapping everyone up on the bus. That is the type of balance that man's always had, you know. And you know, I'm not saying this stuff to glorify any of it, but what I am saying is, you gotta have a balance in life when it comes to things. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And man was balancing the negativity and the positivity. Man had friends that were nerds, blood. You know, like emulators. Man were turning man's computer into a NES and Mega Drive from early. You know what I'm saying? They taught man how to download DVDs when DVDs weren't even a thing, bruv. You know, VCD it was called back in the day, bruv. Video compact disc, bruv, before DVD. Them nerds were telling man that, but then in the same breath, man, other brethren were showing man how to hotbox cars.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
And brothers
it's
brothers ringing up my phone saying, "Yo, I heard such and such has got money in his crib. What you saying? You want to go and jump in his house?"
yeah.
And the man's there's like seriously sitting down thinking about this.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like even the fact that man was even thinking about it. It's like raw. Like man's done that. Man's jumped through people's windows and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And but back then when it just seemed like the way to be, now as an older person, this is stuff that I've had to go through years of having to forgive myself. Like certain victims that I had, you know, back in the day, like you said, I still see their faces. Like I still remember these certain things and be like, but I've got to learn to forgive myself because I know what I was going through them days there. Man could have been a very lost youth. I remember back in the day, when my brethren invited me to Nando's with all his friends, and I remember it was like I was like 17. I was sitting down with Nando's, and everyone was just sitting down. I'd never been to Nando's in my life, bro. I didn't even know what to order or nothing, and I felt so out of place. Yeah, like my brethren, he wasn't really, you know.
To be honest, you've never been to a restaurant. I don't Nando's ain't classed as a high class restaurant, but now real talk. But man, never been to a restaurant, bruv. Like, up until that day, maybe Pizza Hut when man was kids. Yeah, I'd never been to a restaurant, man.
Yeah, and I remember feeling like when I was around like people that weren't really into that lifestyle, I remember feeling like this is how I want to be. I want to be a person that like has a normal life. I don't want to be a person that goes back to like a house in an estate with no gas, no electricity, no food in the fridge, bust radiator. Do you know what I mean? Like just me and my brother just sitting down in a cold flat, like just talking about that.
Scheming.
The only thing we want in our life is a skybox, yeah, food every day, central heating. That's what we wanted for our lives, bro. We wanted central heating, a skybox,
and a PS2.
A PS2.
Oh my God.
This is what we wanted, like because we don't talk about that side publicly.
Yeah,
and people see the side of us that is inspiring. They sort of, you know what people are like, man. They just kind of just judge you straight away.
You had it rosy, man. You guys had it rosy. You know.
Like, do you know like what we went through? Like
a lot of people be like, you guys own property. You're property owners, man. Bruv, you don't understand what man had to
get to
own property. My Lord.
To the point, the point when we bought our property at 20 years old. Yeah? We bought our house at 20 years old. Yeah. Because we knew that to survive in this life, you need to own something.
Ownership.
And our mother taught us that. Yeah. It didn't matter about, you know, I know people that go and they just spend all their money on big cars, Louboutins, all of this stuff, and they get wrapped up by the feds and then got nothing. Yeah. Man from a young age knew, get your house. To the point where, and this is about surrounding yourself with the right people, to the point where we didn't even in the beginning like to tell people we own our own house. Because people would say things like, oh, look at you lot, yeah, all right, you lot ballers, yeah, like with that envious and that jealousy. So and we was raised in a way where it's like, you don't tell people what you got. Got people gonna try and take it from you. And like you said in that dope song you released today that messed with me, Neck, go and download Jflames. He killed Kimori Deluxe. He's got a tune called Neck, and he says on there, if it wasn't for our mum, there'd be more bodies in the street.
Real talk.
And that's some real shit.
Real talk, man. She showed us compassion. She showed us compassion.
And she taught us that you don't tell everyone your business. To the point where we didn't even want to tell people things that we're doing, because out of that survival and out of that fear of we're gonna have to fight people for this. Because jealousy is such a big thing on the end.
Such a big thing, man.
Like, and I was the type of person, I never used to even like to admit that someone's actions towards man was jealous. And our mum would always say that to us, like,
that person's jealous.
Be aware. This person's gonna be jealous. I was like, what they're jealous of me for? Like me? Come on, man. Me.
You know what it is? It don't matter. I was saying this to Ace on the other day. It don't matter where man is, what country man's in, what chain man's got on man's neck, what car man's driving, what houses man owns. Man's always Ruben and Josh from the fucking council flats, bro.
And that's what made us
real talk, bro.
Survivors.
So when man are jealous of you, man's thinking, blood, I'm from the council flats, bro.
We went through this with you.
Yeah, bro.
Do you know what we've had to sacrifice, and the sacrifices that we're still making today to build a better life for ourselves.
Yeah.
To have a family, to have something to be proud of, to have a legacy, to help these kids so they don't have to do the same things that we did. That's why I went and I worked in a youth club and I mentored young kids. You understand?
Speak on that for a moment. What was it like when you first stepped into that youth club and you saw this generation's version of trappers and whatnot? What was your first initial thoughts?
Compassion. I understood what these youths are feeling. I understood that they feel like the ops are the police, the ops are the teachers, the ops are the elder generation that don't understand them, the ops are their own parents, and the ops are other black boys that look just like them. I understood that they are in a position where they feel like the world is against them. And I once was that young kid. But the only difference is back then, man didn't really have an elder generation and that understood that. It was just like, oh yeah, let's play table tennis and shit, and that would make everything good. Do you understand? So I went into the youth club going through this, and you know what's crazy about when I started working with youth was that the two youth clubs that I went in was both on the same roads of the two areas I grew up in.
Mad.
One was in Wells Park and one was in Woodpecker.
Wells Park, Sydney, Woodpecker, New Cross.
And those were the youths that I was working with. The youths that grew up in the exact same areas I worked in.
Same youths as you.
Same youths as me, bro.
Yeah.
So I had to make sure that I keep it real with them. And that I don't in any way seem like I'm glorifying anything, but in any way seem like I'm against them.
Yeah.
And that was tough. Working with young youths doing music in the studios, but also just mentoring them was one of the most poignant, important things in my journey as an adult.
Yeah.
It was one of the most important things that I could have done, is to go back and look into these young boys' eyes and girls as well, and see their pain.
Yeah.
And not add to their pain, but try to help them and show them that, yo, your decisions are going to lead to how your life goes. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because
100.
we live in a system that is about punishment. And punishment doesn't rectify the problem. It kind of just sweeps it under the rug and just pretends it's not there. So I remember when I used to go into work, and I used to, I was self-employed, so I was working for, like a company that was hired by the council. And so I was a bit like, I kind of had a bit of leeway to go in and kind of challenge, the rest of the staff. And I used to tell them, yo, you're dealing with a mental health issue with these young children. This is not an issue of they're just bad youths. This is an issue of mental health. This is the issue of survival, pain and trauma. And of course I got a lot of resistance and a lot of backlash and stuff, but I never changed how I was, and there's still young youths to this day that are probably watching this or whatever that still holler at me and are still on the street, and I got kids that, bigging me up, and I was loved on the ends,
Because you kept it real with them,
I kept it real, man, and I showed them, yo, I see you, and a big part of survival is just knowing that you're seen, man.
You're seen, man.
And you're accepted and people understand you, and the decisions you make go on to determine your life. Yeah. And sometimes those decisions that you make, they can be made different by the type of advice and the type of people you have around you, and especially people that understand you and not becoming an op.
Yeah, no, definitely. And with that being said, I feel like one of the main things as well is to traveling. Like, I think we're gonna have to put some aeroplanes in the back.
Yeah,
boom. Traveling.
We need to do an episode about traveling, because obviously after all of this and working with the kids, and I left the ends for a year and a half to 2 years, and that's a whole nother experience that I had to leave. I became so disillusioned with how things are here and how the mentality of people here, and that I had to leave and go and see different places in the world, and then come back to truly understand what's going on here, because you always have to come back to where you're from and come back and see how you can help to make it a better place.
Yeah, man.
Because, you know, we're going through some shit here, and if we're gonna wait for the government to kind of help us, then
you're gonna be waiting forever, man.
For life, bro.
I feel like that. I feel like that subject, what you just said right now, is for a whole nother episode.
Black men, yeah, listening, watching this, black men, we need to help our young black boys.
Yeah, man.
And when I say help, I'm talking about we need to just sit with them, man, and understand that you was exactly the same. And you know, stop trying to just tell people what to do or make people feel shit. Be patient, sit with them and understand that this is
older. That just, yeah, man. You see, when I was your age, yeah, man was out here, blood. You get me, man?
You lot are worse than us.
You get me?
Nah, bro, we were bad too.
Yeah.
And the generation above us thought that we were the worst generation.
Yeah.
You know, and we need to sit with our young youths, and we need to design a new way to be a man.
100%.
A way new, because how we was taught how to be men was so backwards.
That's it.
You know, men, it's about how many gal you got, it's about what you have, it's about what you can provide.
It's crazy because I was speaking to my friend.
One part of being a man.
I was speaking to my friend the other day, and he was telling me that, you know, he never really likes to be vulnerable because he feels like it's a sign of weakness. And I said to him, you see where we're from, right? You see, being the big man, being the strong man comes natural to us. I said, show vulnerability and be honest. Do you know how hard it is to show vulnerability and be honest?
That's true strength.
That's true strength.
You really want to survive out here, and I know that seems like it goes against survival, but true survival out here is the strength of being vulnerable.
Being vulnerable and being like, you know what, I got a problem. Like even the other day, I realized I was standing up in Sainsbury's, in a queue, and I'm standing sideways because I got to see who's behind me at all times. Yeah. That's madness. Yeah. You know, and it really just came to me the other day that Josh, I stand sideways. In the queue, blood.
And you're standing sideways not only just to see who's behind you, but you also got one eye on the security guard watching you.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with, and it's that same thing about how the young youths feel. You feel like everybody is your op, everybody is your enemy.
Yeah.
You know. It's deep.
Yeah, man. Listen, Real Talk Podcast.
Surviving out here in the ends.
You get me? Jflames, Ruinz Ason. Surviving out here in the ends. It's been a wicked one. Hey, I chose a background aeroplane. You haven't chose one yet, man. We got to keep it tradition. You got to choose a background, man. Let's end on the background you choose.
All right. The background I choose right now is a big apple.
Boom.
Because the apple signifies what? New life.
New life.
Big up.
Blessings.